So, basically what I thought that we could do today was more to just like where you feel your level is. You can sort of show me, we could play some game and you can sort of like talk me through it. Like from today, I think it's good to have like a more basic lesson first.
Okay. With it. So just play a normal game, kind of talk about what I'm thinking.
Exactly.
And
Okay, do you prefer being black or white?
I'm terrible with black, so if we want to practice with that, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, there we go. So just sort of talk through what you're thinking when you're playing.
All right. Big surprise, I'm not thinking. No, I'm kidding.
Do you have any idea of like some sort of openings, or do you just always just, like you said, try to match your pawns and stuff?
No, I don't have like an actual idea of like what openings even really are.
Okay.
Like for at least the very first move, I'll match pawns, and then I'll like just cover the pawn with stuff, and it'll start looking a little like this, where my knight's in danger, I move too,
I think that this is still just the opening. I think that the most interesting stuff is to see how you play the middle game, like after we get all of the pieces developed, basically.
I would normally push my bishop right up against your knight, but I've been told that's not a good thing to do by my friends who are not good at chess.
Wait a second. No. I want you to do that. Do it.
All right. Hit me.
Good. Have you heard the saying, pin it till you win it?
No, that sounds funny though.
Start thinking about that. It's pretty funny. Just pin it till you win it. I promise you, you're going to win a lot of games by that. Have you heard about all of the, how many each piece is worth?
Yeah, like 3 for the knights and bishops, 5 for the rooks, 8 for the queen, 1 for the pawns each.
Exactly. Yeah. 9 for the queen, 5 for the rooks. Yeah, exactly. So basically, even though the bishops and the knights are worth the same, some people would argue that a bishop is worth 3.5 and a knight is worth 2.5, or 2.7 versus 3.3. The bishop can be a little bit better, but especially when you have the bishop here. So when you have both bishops in the game. And that obviously depends a lot on the position, but you typically don't want to just take a knight randomly just because you can with a bishop, if you know what I mean.
Okay, I'm with it.
Exactly, yes. So now you have all of your pieces developed. So that's step number 1. Get your king to safety and get all your pieces developed. All right, I'm just gonna start pushing here a little bit.
Oh, I missed. Accident.
No, I'm not gonna take that. That would just no. I'll just play something else. Just to go.
How
back.
nice of you. How nice of you.
Just don't do that in the Smasher's Gambit.
I'll try my hardest. I was thinking C3 because it's at least a bishop or a queen.
No, but that's a really good move, knight C3. No, but one thing that's good to think about is that if you have your pawns on one color, then the bishop that's on the same color is going to be a bad bishop. So your pawns are light squares. That means that your bishop on D7, which is a light square bishop, is a bad bishop because the pawns are blocking the movement of the bishop.
Mm-hmm.
We can see that I have a lot of dark square pawns in the center, which means that my bishop, which is on E3, is my bad bishop. So instead of exchanging the knight for that bishop by taking on A3, you're going knight C3 and you're taking my a bit perhaps better bishop, which is the one that's on E2. So yeah, so that's why I thought that knight C3 was better than taking on E3.
That's one way to think about it. Okay. I'll learn it a little bit. Okay. It's quite the pickle, I'd say.
It is, right?
That threatens the pawn on the D file.
But I like this move. I like knight before. You kick it, or you're threatening the pawn. And once again, because there's no pawn that can kick away the knight there, I think that this is a pretty good move. You can always defend it with A5 or something. Let's see, what do you think for me? If you just think about it from my perspective, what pawn do you think would be better for me to push, the D pawn or the E pawn?
E pawn for sure. That's what I was looking at.
Yeah.
Because it threatens the bishop. If I take, then I lose the bishop. So my next best thing would just be to move the bishop back or somewhere more threatening, which there's really no other spot. So.
However, it is true that you are attacking my pawn with 2 pieces here, right?
Yes, the D pawn.
All right. Well,
so you're probably gonna cover it with a rook if I had to guess. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just take that rook and cover it.
Would it be a bad idea? Oh, hold on. You go first.
Do you think that you can take the pawn?
No. Actually, wait. Oh, I thought you had more covering that, because you're right. Because I have 2 attackers, so I could just take it with the knight, and if you take it with the rook, then my queen will be in the center of the board, which is good. Okay.
You like taking?
Yeah, it feels good.
That's great. So actually the idea here is that typically it looks really bad to take because my rook is in the same file as your queen. So once again, I'm pinning your knight. But the thing is that, let's say that I go somewhere. You know what, I'm gonna go here. What do you do here?
Panic. No,
Actually here I have a little trick. So I was gonna say that instead of going bishop c6, it's probably better to go c6 to just defend it with the pawn. And I'm gonna show you why.
Oh, pushing the pawn up, yeah.
Typically when you have like a pin like this, you want to defend the piece with a pawn. Because if you go with the bishop and you defend it with the bishop, I mean the bishop also becomes like sort of vulnerable. It's better to just like solidify it with the pawn.
Okay.
But I have a little cool move here, but I want to try to make you find it, or us find it together, basically.
For you to do right now?
Yes. So if you look at it from my perspective.
My first thing to say is D2.
When you say D2, do you mean E7?
Yeah, for you it's E7, I think.
You're completely right. So E7, that's the move actually. That's the move. So the idea is to move the pawn one square here, basically. And the reason why I want to do that is because when I do that, I'm threatening both your queen and your rook at the same time.
Well, I get it now. Okay, so you move your pawn up.
Yeah.
It threatens both things. And then say I can't take with my knight because the queen has it pinned.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Now I get it.
Exactly. And have you heard about the fact that two pieces are better than one rook? So like two bishops or one bishop and one knight is better than a rook?
I've never heard that, no.
No, so basically if you can get like a bishop and a knight or two bishops or two knights, that's typically better than a rook. So that's why I'm gonna go ahead and take your two pieces here. Okay, let's get into a little ending. Let's play this endgame.
All right, I just want to start pushing up my pawns towards the right side, right? That's what I'm thinking.
You want to get a passed pawn, which is when you have a, like for example, you see your C pawn? That pawn is a passed pawn because there's no other pawn that can stop it. I think you're playing really well. Like honestly, I think you're playing really well. You know, in the when you played against me the other day in the video,
yeah,
I had such a bad position. I was telling actually everybody that I think you're gonna win this Smasher's Gambit because I mean, you just seem to be sort of a natural talent. You haven't even done any coaching or anything, but you play really well.
Thank you. I hope I do great.
However, in this position, what can I do? When you go rook c8, what can I do in this position? You want to stop me from going c5, but can I do something first?
You could go c5 with your bishop.
Yeah, and what happens then?
I'd lose the pawn no matter what, or a rook.
Exactly. So that's the issue with that. That's what I think, that going before when you start pushing your pawns, it would have been better to wait a bit before you push your pawns and to first get your rooks active and get everything ready, and then start pushing the pawns, not doing it immediately. Ooh, you're pinning it till you win it. You're doing it again.
That's something of a genius myself, I'd say, yeah.
But there's another move here which is really cool, but it's like a really difficult move, but it's a really cool move that you can do with your rook.
But c4 with the rook?
Yes.
Okay.
And now if I move my bishop, the plan is that you're going to be able to go rook c2. And I can't go anywhere with my bishop where I'm still attacking the b4 pawn. So yeah, so if I move my bishop, then that's what's going to happen. So I think that what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take here. I think that's the only thing I can do, because otherwise you're going to go rook c2 and you're going to start pushing your b pawn. That's the idea here. You want to push your b pawn. And I can never take it or anything, because then I'm just going to be losing my knight on d2. Good. And here's the whole idea of the whole combination here. Whenever I get my king up, okay, actually, I guess there's bishop g1 in this position. All right, doesn't matter. Let's say that I went here. Then what do you have?
I could move my rook to c1, so I kind of guarantee myself a piece.
Exactly. So actually, I went king h2. I could have gone back with the bishop to g1. That's like basically the best move, just to avoid this. But I just wanted to see if you saw this, basically. Then I wouldn't lose a piece, but I would still have a really bad position. All right, I'm going to take here. Now you're going to play by yourself. I want you to win this.
Try my hardest.
Or try to win it. Okay.
I lose, I'll be impressed. That's how I feel right now.
I'll give him some tips. So basically he needs to get his king up pretty soon. That's what he needs to do. He needs to get his king up just so that he could like sack the rook for the bishop and then just like win the pawn in game. Actually, here he's losing the pawn, I believe. He needs to use his king, yes. He's basically playing a king down. Yeah, we can see that my king is doing stuff as well. So this is what I'm going to tell him right after this. Okay, I'll just do something like this. Let's see if I can hold it. All right, yeah, there we have a big...
Oh, shit. Whoops.
That was a sneaky bishop I had.
I swear, it's the time. It made me panic again. Not my fault.
It's the time. It's always the time.
I'm impressed that I managed to lose this for what it's worth.
You said it that you would be impressed. You'd be impressed either way. Ooh, wait, that's like a... Oh, did you resign? Oh. I went bishop g5. It was a stalemate. That was a little bit funny.
Oh, I thought I just lost.
Nah, but I mean, it is lost. Like, this is lost. But just bishop g5 is the only move that's a stalemate.
No, chess.com is nice enough to say, looks like that game slipped through your fingers. Thanks. Yeah.
That makes... I get so happy when I hear that. That's actually like, that
Really?
feels really nice. Sometimes they're like, it's like when you do puzzles, they can either be like, good job, or they can be like, good attempt.
That's tilting. I don't think that feels good at all.
So let's actually go ahead and go back here and see what you played. Because all of this was really good. This is the game. All of this was really good. But I think that something that you did was that you started pushing this pawn a lot and you thought that you could win with only the rook and the pawn, right? And something that's really important is to bring the king. I will never be able to take like the rook and the pawn, or even to take this pawn here. You need to bring your king in.
Like I was just gonna say, I should have started getting him in a lot earlier as opposed to pushing the pawns up to where they are now.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yes, the king is such an important piece. The king is a huge, huge piece. Because now I'm playing a king and a bishop, but you're playing with a rook and a pawn, and like, I mean, okay, you have a rook, but still, I mean, it's like almost equal pieces in this position if you only move the rook.
There's not much to be said about it. I just messed up.
No, but I think it's really good for you to think about the fact that the king is so important. Always bring the king in the endgames. The king, they typically say that the king is the most powerful piece in the endgame. Yeah, so this is, material-wise, this is like, I mean, obviously you're winning here. Like, and probably also like practically this is just winning. But this is going to be harder to win. And the reason why it's so much simpler to win when you have one passed pawn is because that passed pawn is stopping my king and bishop from moving. So one pawn is basically controlling all of my pieces. Your one pawn are controlling all of my pieces. Because I can't move my king and bishop somewhere else because then you're just going to promote, right? So your idea of having a passed pawn is not to actually promote that pawn, but it's just to always be threatening to promote that pawn and then move all of your other pieces. So basically, yeah, so that's that. But I think that was a good lesson for you to learn at the end, to move your king up and to keep your passed pawn.